This is Proper Football, the podcast where we talk about everything that encompasses the beautiful game outside of the 90 minutes. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm joined by former MLS ballers Rodney Wallace and Ethan White. What is up, gents?
Gang, what's up,
going
y'all?
on?
What's up, guys? It is so good to see you. We're recording on a Friday this week, which is exciting because we got football on the weekend that we can chat about. Ethan, you've been rocking hard. 2 days, no sleep. That's
What you been doing, E?
That pivot is my fault, y'all. I was directing a commercial. Hopefully, y'all will see it soon. It's supposed to be. I'm excited. It was hot. It was fire.
It's gonna be national stuff.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's the company's pushing big for it on it. Hopefully, next time they push the budget too, give us a little bit more bread. Line my pockets.
Tell them
more than now. It was fire. It was cool. Hopefully, it's a ongoing relationship. It was fire.
Amazing.
Yo,
guys,
I got your print, by the way.
You got it.
Yeah,
fire.
man, it's fire.
Yes. Put that thing up.
I gotta figure it out.
You gotta get it framed nice in the house.
I can send you a framer, bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can send you a framer. Oh, actually, you're in Malibu.
So.
Yeah, you want to drive 2 hours to get you something framed?
Where?
In LA.
It's a 45-minute drive, dog.
He's got time.
Yeah, but an hour there, an hour back. That's what I'm saying.
It's okay.
That's fine.
I'll go
All right, music in the car.
I'll go to round 2. I'll go get a haircut. It's a whole activity. Every time I go down to LA, it's like a whole.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing. You got to go and figure out what you got to do, and then execute 3
On
things.
today's show, guys, we're going to talk about celebrating goals in front of fans who supported you or used to support you, Messi being taken off, the weekend games ahead, and the Interfan tokens on the jersey, which we wanted to get to last time, but we didn't have time. You guys are the perfect people to have this conversation with, considering playing career. When a player plays for one team, gets traded, or there's a move to another, they score the goal, they keep their hands down, or they do their celebration at a much more of a minimalistic sort of event because they're trying to show respect to the fans and show them respect when they were playing on that team. We have an example of what Lingard did with Hammers and United just a couple of days ago. Let's start with you, Rod, or Ethan, if you want to jump in first, whoever, but is that something that you are down with, not down with? Is it something that you should be celebrating? Dude, you scored the goal. You're put the team you're currently on up. You've put them ahead. Maybe they've won the game because of it. Should you not be going berserk and showing the fans that are respecting you now and buying your jersey now and loving you now that kind of energy and respect? Or is it cool? Is it cool that they're like, oh, no, I love both teams. Can you do that?
Well, E had in the previous show, E had stated that Lingard wasn't going to play for the next 2 months. So
I did say that.
I think we should.
I apologize to him.
I appreciate that.
I
apologize to the crew as well.
I don't know if he needs an apology. He doesn't need an apology. That was an assumption. I thought that
and you're right, because you've seen it done before.
He was going to be outcast. Yeah, I've seen it done before. The player makes a mistake. He's never going to give another chance. So shout out to him getting another chance.
And shout out to the coaching staff.
Yeah. Everybody over there at Manchester United. Good job. You guys did well. Congrats.
Woo-hoo.
Move on.
Can't ask an Arsenal guy about United. So Rod,
exactly.
Can they celebrate? Not celebrate? What's the deal?
In my personal opinion, I think that the player should celebrate if he wants. I think it's a personal choice. It also has to do a lot with the heat of the moment. Sometimes players going into a club that they have feelings for, that it's in their heart, and they have this already recorded. If I score, I'm not going to celebrate, especially if you are visualizing before the game. If you're a striker, if you're a midfielder, and you're used to scoring goals, then you're planning your celebration already beforehand. So if you're going to play against a club that you previously played for, then a lot of the times the player says, you know what, today is a day where I'm going to pay my respects to the club and I'm not going to celebrate. But then they score and they celebrate, and that's just because they're in the heat of the moment, and that's their emotions. They're human. They have emotions. They're humans, and they celebrate. And in my personal opinion, it shouldn't matter. I think that if the club really loved you that much, they should just be happy for the fact that you're being successful in a different environment. In my personal opinion.
The question I just want to jump on, the practicing your celebration beforehand. in the heat of the moment in euphoria, you actually have a choreographed
Not
response?
practice. I think not practice. He meant visualize.
Visualize.
Visualize. Okay, because that's
Yeah.
Because I guess I assume that some guys have their position. You know, like Ronaldo has that move. Lingard's doing his thing. Like everybody's got their thing. But in general,
you already know.
Goal,
so, for example, you already know what you're gonna do if you score. A lot of the times, for example, there are players that score and they just completely black out and they do seven. They have 7 celebrations. They have 7 celebrations instead of 1. But you know, a lot of players have a signature celebration and
like a move.
And and it's okay. You know what I mean? But I personally. There was one year, 2013, that I had my own celebration, and that was super dope. But that was for 2013, and then after that, you know, it was something different every single game. It depends how you're feeling. So the club should be happy for you. That's my personal opinion. The club should be happy that you are successful. If you're hated, and then you go and score.
But that's totally for the fans, man. That's for the fans. The celebrations are for the fans.
Who cares? If you score, why can't you just do your thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The clubs don't give a fuck. It's the fans you're doing it for when they're not celebrating.
No, you're scoring for yourself and you're scoring for your.
No, I'm saying your celebration. You don't. If you're muting your celebration because that fan base used to support you, that's for them. It's not for the club. It's for you and you, right?
The whole thing about not celebrating is just paying respects to the club that gave you so much or whatever, and then but what really matters is that you're scoring the goal and you're scoring the goal for the club that you're playing for now, the club that's giving you an opportunity to play there now.
Ethan, you were saying?
I think it's circumstantial, man.
Have you been in that? You've been in that situation where you've played against DC, for example, and you're on Philly, and they scored a goal, and you're celebrating it. I know you, Ethan. You celebrated that hard.
Okay, but that's why I'm saying it's circumstantial. That's why I'm saying it's circumstantial. Let's say you're at a club, right, and you come from a small club, and then you're playing for a big club. So let's say you go from, I don't know, a small club in the Prem.
Let's say you go from Everton and Man U.
No, get out of here.
Everton and Man U. Wayne Rooney.
Let's say you go from Norwich to Liverpool, right? Norwich is your hometown club. You played there for 20 years, and you're from academy to first team. And in your first year that you go to Liverpool, you bang a goal, and you have so much respect for that club that you're not gonna like. I understand what Rodney's saying. Right, everybody should be happy for you, and they gave you an applause when you came on the pitch, but then you also just banged a goal and made Norwich's chances of staying in the league harder.
Goodbye.
So I feel like it's a respect. Like, okay, yeah, the player is doing his job. He scored his goal. The fans aren't gonna boo him, but like, I think it's an understanding.
Okay,
the player is doing his job. But then there's relationships.
Dumped you.
Exactly. So
right?
So then there's relationships where the team is like it ended poorly, and I'm in this game, and I'm like, fuck that team. If I score against y'all, I'm going straight to the other team's. You see celebrations where the players runs in front of the bench.
I've seen you go to the other. I've seen you not even score the goal yourself, and I've seen you go and celebrate 100%. In front of the other bench. Don't lie to me.
I have
the other bench, like the other bench that there was the team that you were on, and it was more of a like you should have had me.
100%. Yeah. Coaches have said you're never gonna play. You're not gonna play for 3 years. I'm starting the next year in front of you, and my team just scored a fucking goal ago, and you're losing.
One of the crew mentioned Grealish is going to go back as a City player to Villa in November. You think if he scores a goal there, he's going to go berserk? You think he's going to play the
not go berserk,
game?
But he'll celebrate it.
He respects the club. He was just the captain. He played there for so many years. He'll score. He'll go like this. At the end of the game, the fans will applaud him because he's done the big thing for the club. He made them £100 million. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I wonder.
But then there's like relationships where it's like, imagine if Robin van Persie, when he went to Manchester United, celebrated against Arsenal. That would be horrible. The fans would hate him. He would have a crazy reaction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of things that
you'd be surprised.
So the fans have a huge weight and say in almost 100%. How you might celebrate. They have all of it. So it's not the club relationship. It's that the opposing fans or the fans that you once played for or grew up with, and now you're on the opposing side, you don't almost want to fuck with that system. You don't want to fuck with them turning their wrath on you. Like, is it a bit of fear involved?
Okay, for you're a Chelsea fan,
right?
How many supporters want Timo Werner out of the club?
I couldn't even care less. I couldn't care less.
I'm
you know why? You know why? Because here's the thing. When Lampard, I'm trying to relate to when Lampard played one game for City and scored against Chelsea. Right? And I was furious at the club for letting him go. So I was glad he scored on Chelsea. I was like, good.
Yeah, he's a legend, though. He's a legend.
No, but okay, fine. That's fair. No, that's totally fair. But I'm trying to understand.
Did he celebrate it?
Did he?
Yeah.
No, really. He did what Lingard did. He did this.
Yeah.
It's like
he did this apology.
I did a goal, but exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
Timo Werner is a player that a lot of Chelsea supporters don't like. The club likes him.
They're mad because he hasn't produced, and so we've spent a lot of money, and he's sitting around. Yeah, he can't score for Germany. He can't score anywhere.
Yeah, but a lot of supporters will say when he's on at that fan thing they had when the open training and somebody stood up and said we want Timo Werner out the club. So Timo Werner has definitely seen and heard all of that shit that these supporters have been writing. Right. So let's say the next year he goes and plays for Palace or Villa or another London-based club. And
he's going to come in with the ears and
he's going berserk. He's like, fuck you fans. You guys have been cursing at me for the past year.
But he doesn't stay. I bet you he doesn't even stay in England. My thing is,
he doesn't. I'm just saying certain situation that situation.
I don't know. But here's an example. So like we said, so Rod, or either you guys, Grealish goes. This is a big one because this is the biggest move in England, the big money spender, big play right for everybody. He goes to City. He goes back to Villa. He scores a goal. Does he play it down or does he celebrate after they spent $100 million and he's getting all the City fans behind him? Like, no, but don't you owe it to? Do you owe it? And guys, I'm playing devil's advocate.
He'll respectfully celebrate.
Respectfully, but if I'm a City fan, I'm paying.
You're not going to disrespect the club. There's a big difference between respectfully celebrating, not celebrating.
Yeah,
and
you're
then
right.
just
You're right. Not
showboating
celebrating and respectfully celebrating.
Yeah,
not celebrating, you got a problem.
No, yeah.
You don't think?
DC did that. That happened to me.
He did his job. His job is to score goals. So for at Man City, why would the fans be mad he didn't celebrate? He did his job. He scored you. He put you one up. He put you up 1-0. Now,
but I'm paying and buying your jersey. I want you to celebrate for our team.
You're not paying him to celebrate. You're paying him to.
You are paying him. I'm paying your wages by going into the stadium, buying drinks, buying tickets, buying food, buying jerseys.
Now you're talking as a fan.
I know, and that's what I'm trying to get to.
From a player's perspective, it's not. We're not. You guys are not the ones, and that's what the fans think. Fans think that they have that privilege to first of all touch the players, or the players are doing things
you have
for
zero access
for you
to
guys.
The access is fine, but I think that's not. As a fan. If I'm supporting the club, I'm supporting you, right? If I'm buying my season tickets, if I'm buying into the clubs, if I'm buying the food and the drink and everything else that comes with it, that's not supporting the players?
Hold on, Paul. So let me ask you this. Who if you think you think that the fans are supporting the club, say it again. What did you just say?
I think that the fans
He's saying what you think he's saying, Ethan.
What do you think I'm saying? I'll tell you.
Go on.
No, please tell me.
I say it again because I want to reply.
I'm a fan. If I walk into a stadium and I buy a ticket and I buy food and I buy drink and I buy jerseys and I buy club memberships and I buy the books and the DVDs and everything else that you sell, that money goes into the club. The club takes that money and pays wages, pays for projects, whatever it does with the money, right?
Okay.
So am I not supporting the entire ecosystem if there are no fans in the stands? If no fans are buying it? Really?
You're paying wages for the people that work at the club.
Who's propping up that? Who is committing the most hours and serving the club the more than the player?
Who's breaking their toes, their legs, their knees?
No way. Nobody's supporting the club more than the players in the field.
Really?
Without the players, there's no club.
Without the players, there's no club.
Totally correct. But if there's no club to pay the players, there's no players either.
If the players aren't winning games, if the players aren't winning games, you're not buying shit.
That's correct. You've seen that's exactly what's happening. Look at what's happening at Derby. They're
No, but
about
what
to
I'm
get
saying-
thrown out.
What I'm saying is if the players aren't on the field winning games,
Yeah.
doing X and X and X and X or whatever, winning trophies, doing appearances,
Yeah.
you're not coming to the stadium to buy the beers, to buy the jerseys, to do any of that. If the players aren't working their ass off to score the goals, to celebrate in front of you guys, to get Nike to,
it's not one-sided. No chance, man. I'm sorry. No. What I'm saying is not one-sided. But the club needs the players as much as the players needs the club.
False. COVID
if there are no players,
COVID just threw a whole wrench into that whole thing. The players were propping up the entire fucking thing.
Well, actually, the sponsorship dollars were propping up the whole thing because half of those MLS, after those Premier League clubs were asking for free money because they couldn't pay their way. They couldn't pay anything
because the clubs are run like businesses. But if you're
trying to save money,
we're talking about pure support for clubs and love for the game. There's if you love the game, not because of the money you spend, you love the game because the thing that's on the field. So you're saying as a footballer, you don't care if the fans are supporting you or not. That's crazy. As a footballer, I'm always been fuck the fans.
Wow.
I've always been like that.
That's cool. That's your opinion. That's
okay.
Cool.
Which is fine. You know,
I don't mean fuck the fans in a bad way. I mean like nothing. It's not on the top of my mind because that's not what keeps my job. What keeps my job and why I play the game is performance.
Correct.
Yeah.
So without performing well, none of that other stuff happens. There's no new sponsorship dollars. There's no trophies. The fans are going to stop coming.
But it's good to see. It's good to see. It's good to see the other side. It's good to hear what Paul has to say because that's exactly what we go through. The privilege that the fan has and how much influence they think they have within the club, especially when they come to practice. For example, when it's open practice and the fans come and they feel this sense of bravado, like this is my club as well, which fine, it can be in many ways, but you guys are not putting this shit together. You know what I mean? But sometimes the club gives them too much access and then they take that and run with it. Just because you're paying season tickets doesn't mean that you can say whatever you want to a player or that you feel that responsibility to say that 100% because I'm buying your beers for $30, you are already now changing the whole club and the money that you're spending is going directly into the players' pockets.
But a perfect example of that is that they're in the middle right now in the I'm using United Kingdom as an example just because this just came up a day ago. They're looking to review a law from the late 80s, when alcohol was banned from stadia, right? So that you couldn't drink in a football stadium. They're looking to change that because of what that means dollar amount wise for, let's call it, smaller clubs. So anything that's not top 10 in the Premier League because they have huge, sponsorship deals or TV deals. They're talking about this because it's an entire overhaul and there's going to be the difference for the clubs is astronomical, right? So buying those $30 beers is actually really big for the club. They need that.
Yeah, for sure.
The clubs need the fans at those gates. They need that revenue, like it or not. Like what was happening as we saw during the pandemic. Rodney, to your point, first of all, the whole point of this is always to have both sides trying to talk about stuff.
No, yeah. We're not fighting.
No, of course not. The point being is I agree 100% with your statement. Fuck no, I don't have a right to call you, to badmouth you or come to practice. And I agree with you also at open practice. That's just show and tell, right? That happens what? I don't know.
No, well, that's because you got to support the people, the fans that they come to the games
they're going in day and day out,
season tickets and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're looking for the autograph, like the whole thing. But that doesn't give me the right to belittle to spit on the way you play or to belittle you or to actually, as we've seen over and over again. We brought it up on this show, and we're going to get into that always. I am assuming until shit gets fixed, but then get personal, start talking. Like get into rape, get into this, get into that. Like, are you fucking crazy? Imagine you came to work at my pub. And one of the managers started fucking doing that to one of the servers, or like that's just not how it works. But it is, in my opinion, 100% an ecosystem. I think everybody needs everybody in this thing for it to work. I think you can't just. Again, that's just my opinion. You have to have fans, and you have to have fans that are down to support. And I think
100%.
it makes it 100% better for the players, the clubs, and everybody wants it like that. And that's just my opinion. But I can see why as a player you wouldn't like that shit when it's over the top or being disrespected as an access point.
I think what Rodney was saying more is just like from your own perspective, what is the from both a player's perspective and a fan's perspective is who has more say in what happens within the club and who has more influence.
I still think it's ownership.
Oh yeah, I mean ownership obviously has the most, but I'm saying between fans and players. Yeah, I think it's the players have to come first. Like that's always like that. With no performance in the field, there's no money coming in. There's no fans coming. It's a it's give and take. But once you give too much power to the fans, it's very, very possible that you can lose the club.
That's a dangerous thing to do.
It's a dangerous, very, very dangerous thing to do. If every time they sign a player and they say we want him out of our fucking club or we want this player, and then the club goes and spends that money and hopefully, I mean, not every time. Most of the time, like I said, the fans don't know what they're talking about. they don't have the inside view of.
Inside view, inside view. You're right. Hold on, fans definitely do not have the inside view. You're totally right about that. But they're educated about their team.
Fans don't understand what a player can do on the field, what the player is actually doing for the club.
They can or cannot.
They cannot. Sometimes they cannot. There's a player on the field that the club cannot play without, and he's not the flashiest. He's not the one scoring the goals.
And they're not putting him on the pedestal, but he's the man.
Without that player, there is no connectivity, and there is no momentum. He's the one that keeps the club ticking because he's doing the dirty work in the offense and the defense.
Perfect example: Granit Xhaka at Arsenal. Arsenal supporters hate Granit Xhaka. Hate him. They hate him. They want him out the club. Every 2 weeks, there's a get Granit Xhaka out of here.
He's the scapegoat.
But why does he play? Why is he the most?
Because he's reliable
for 5 years in a row.
He's reliable.
The fans want him out. The club says we want him. But also, what I was going to say is fans have the ability to detach themselves from the club. When on the weekends when there's a bad game and they're like,
we can turn it off.
We can just turn it off. You can turn your brain off. Players invested throughout the entire fucking season, day in, day out.
Well, not only exactly. You live and breathe. But I'll play devil's advocate that I actually will then add on to this conversation, unfortunately, guys, is I'm going to say that there's two types of fans and there's an actually very educated, Rodney, to your point, I'm sorry, but there are some fucking educated fans out there that know everything about their club.
Which is fine. Totally we know that.
So there's that fan, and then I know, I'm just trying to explain that there's that fan, and then there's the fan, like you just said, that we're talking, I feel, about, that's more like, fuck you, I buy my beer, I buy my jersey, now do what I want, entertain me, you don't know shit, do this, how come armchair coaching and all of that? And that fan is not who the fuck I'm talking about. So I don't give a fuck, because that fan does that with every sport and everything else in their life.
But you know what the problem is? Those are the most outspoken fans. Those are the guys. Those are the fans that are the beat writers and say like those are the dangerous ones, bro. Because they know so much.
Because like when negativity rises to the top, you hear more about that.
Exactly. Sorry, so they're the ones that are right. Like, what was wrong with this coach's tactics in this game? And it's like, fam, you
never played a day in your life.
Exactly.
Gents.
You never played a day in your life. But now you're a manager.
Coaches. So then, even perfect segue. Messi taken off debut PSG.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is a great moment, Rod. To everybody, let's talk about that Pochettino move. He's saying it's because he wanted to make sure he didn't get hurt. They didn't shake hands. Messi gave him you saw that. Everybody on earth saw that look. Yeah. Messi's like, what the fuck you doing taking me off on my debut? As pros, I'd love to hear a little bit on like that mentality part of it too. Like there is a mental part of that too. Like he's not scoring. It's not going swimmingly well, but it's also just the beginning. But is that, oh shit, things are already going to unravel? Or is that just everybody in the world making something out of nothing with that sort of, Pochettino does sort of know what he's doing. He wouldn't be a pro man.
Fans make a big deal out of that. And it translates into what we're talking about now, because fans make a big deal and the media makes a big deal about these things, but they forget the fact that coaches are adults and the players are adults as well. So if we feel like we got taken out at a time when we were peaking, which everybody makes mistakes, the coach makes mistakes as well. But if a player is peaking in a game and they feel like they're close to scoring, or they feel like they're doing exactly what they're being asked to, and they get subbed off, and the coach wants to shake my hand and I slap it away, yes, that is disrespectful, but we also feel personally disrespected because we got taken off. And now if I demand an answer right then and there, the coach is going to tell me we can talk about it later. But we have emotions as well, and if we feel like you
You're
did
human,
me
dude.
wrong,
You're not a robot.
you did me wrong, yes, I won't even shake your hand. We'll make up for it later. We can talk about it. I'll go to your office, and if you felt disrespected, you can tell me, and then I'll tell you why you shouldn't have taken me off, and I'll prove it to you the next game, the game after that, and the game after that. And if it happens again, then that's another time for me to feel how I feel, and I won't shake your hand again. And that's fine. Players are like that. I personally, with Caleb Porter, I had an incident where he took me out of a game because I missed a chance. I felt that I was playing well. Yes, I missed a chance to score, but at the same time, I wasn't having a bad game, and I was making an impact, and my momentum was rising, and the players on the field, they know that. But then I get taken off, and there's times when you get taken off, and the dude next to you looks at you like, what is this? What's the coach doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we were playing against Toronto. He took me out, and I didn't even go towards the bench, because what you do, you go towards the bench, and the teammates or whatever, they dap you up, like good job, whatever. But I didn't even go towards the bench, and he felt disrespected. Like I'm supposed to go and shake his hand every single time. Needless to say, I'm not disrespectful. That's not me. But I've personally felt that I didn't need to be taken off. And so the coach took it personal that I didn't shake his hand. So for the whole week, he thought that I was disrespectful to him.
You didn't talk that night? Like you didn't talk in the changing room at the end of that match?
No, because everybody was still in the heat of the moment. I think we actually lost that game too. So everybody was just pissed off. And then that week, he brings me into the office, and he wants to know why I didn't shake his hand. And I'm like, dog, I didn't even shake anybody's hand. I actually was rushing to get off the field because we were losing the game. So I'm actually trying to help the team out. Just because I didn't go all the way to shake your hand, now you feel disrespected. I come into the training, I say good morning to you every single morning. I say good morning to every player. It's not even it's not about me. It's not about you. It's what we're doing on the field. So at times coaches, they take it so personal, and they think that they own the whole situation because they have that power to take you off or put you on, that they forget the fact that we are also as invested as they are in the game. And there's things that they can't see that are happening on the field. And that's why you always have to have an assistant that might be even better than you. So they can see
an assistant that's the intermediary between player and coach, sort of thing.
And an assistant that actually can
read the player better,
can read the game without being emotional, because the coach is the one that carries that weight. But there's got to be somebody that is seeing the big picture in a whole different way,
more disconnected and more playmaking.
So exactly. So Caleb's assistant had to go and tell him, like, first of all, he came to me and he told me how Caleb felt, and
it's amazing.
Which is a bridge. He's the one that came up to say, hey, he felt disrespected, blah, blah. You should go and talk to him in the office. So I went and we talked about it. No problem. Me and him always been boys still to this day. We're cool, whatever. But yes, his personality is strong, and so is mine. But this is shit that happens, bro. I mean, we're both adults. We don't have to agree every single fucking time we're on the pitch.
Yeah. Ethan, did something like that sort of similar happen to you? I mean, what this is also just, I think, reiterating, and again, it's 2021, about to be 2022, and this has been the ongoing story in all sports, specifically in football forever, is it really is about reminding everybody that footballers, coaches, teammates, everybody, the whole thing, they're human. And we have human emotions. We get worked up. Everybody gets mad. People get sad. People get furious. And then you got to cool down, calm down, and then speak about shit and fix stuff. And this isn't everything, Ethan. It's on your shoot. You're dealing with fucking 200 crew member. You got to know that if you piss one off, it could fucking shoot. The whole thing goes down. The whole. There's no more commercial. Yeah. So you got to be smooth. You got to work it out. Like, I think, And I'm going to get back to Messi and Poch, or a scenario like what Rod just explained to us about him being pulled off and I'm not fucking shaking your hand. Of course you're not. But you talk later, or you talk the next day, or you work it out before you go back to work.
Right.
And it's humans. We got to just remember we're all just humans here. And that's what everybody keeps forgetting. And I think that actually goes back to this whole thing about fans and the disrespect that they show play, or the what they think they know or deserve from players. Ethan, just quickly on this subject, because I think it's an important one. I think it's the human connect to football.
I mean, for me, I think my situation has been a bit different because I was a defender. So, like, when I was subbed off, like, you usually don't sub defenders off unless you're either trying to win the game or you're trying to make a more defensive adjustment. So for me, it was more like, and when I was subbed, it was very clear as to why. Like, it was very like, okay, we need a more attacking outside back, or we need to get a late goal, or we need to defend, so we're going to put an additional center back on. So we're more height. We're dealing with a lot of balls, aerial challenges. But I mean, I've definitely had circumstances where you
could have been on a yellow card early in the game because you a lot of the times you were on a yellow card during the match because you foul a lot. You go,
that seems
you
like
look for ankles, you look for knees, you look for legs a lot, and you like contact. You foul a lot.
I would love to review.
You're a disgusting.
We're gonna need like a clip show. We're gonna need a review.
No, he's a disgusting player.
We actually need to pull stats up on who had more fouls when we played together in New York. Who fouled?
Rodney, for sure.
We're definitely Rodney, and more yellows for sure.
Disgusting.
I don't even know, and I can feel it.
Yeah, but like yellow cards is not a situation where defenders will get subbed off. But for me, it was more like there's definitely been circumstances where I've gotten subbed off. I didn't have the answer. I was never a guy who disrespected the coach, but I was more the one where I was like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. I want to understand why you subbed me off, and I'll prove you wrong as to why. Like, what you won't do it again. And I took it upon myself to challenge myself. But also, like Rodney said, at the end of the day, we're all working towards the team achieving something. So if him subbing me off was an attempt to have the team give the team something that I wasn't giving, then I would understand. If he made a bad decision, we can talk about it. We can fix it. Like Rodney said, we're all human. We make mistakes. Just have the conversation. A perfect example of the Poch and Messi thing, what happened last year with Sadio Mane and Jurgen Klopp.
Correct.
Sadio Mane was taken
off. You remember that? They were talking like Mane's gone.
Jurgen Klopp, he's
Mane
out. He's out. What happened? What was this? And Jurgen Klopp, being a great manager he is, said, why would he be happy that he didn't end the game? Why would any player, any hungry, great player, be happy that he was taken off the field? He wants to score. He wants to finish, and that's what makes him good. And Jurgen Klopp saying that is the perfect is what he should say. Why would he be happy that I took him off? But then with the Messi thing, it ended up coming out that he was injured, and Poch is.
It's also because it's new, and everybody wants to see the Ronaldo Messi story, and now they're saying, but you know what it is. Again, this is media. We need story.
100%.
Everybody needs, guys. Football this weekend. This is we're at the end of the week. We're about to have some juicy stuff, which I know we can talk about the turnarounds after. But is anybody looking out for a game that they're freaking out? I mean, Ethan, you must be. This is it. This is the big one, man.
Oh, actually, I don't want to jinx it, but I remember when I said Arsenal was going to go 5 unbeaten.
Yeah,
we're at 3. We're at 3 now. I'm just saying,
dude. You like
3 W's in a row. 3 W's in a row. So this is about to be 4 on this week.
I think you're going to win.
I'm hyped for this game. I think we're going to win too. Tottenham's down. We got all of our players are healthy. Like I said.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Rodney, is there a game that you see this weekend that you care like to invest your time into?
Not necessarily, to be honest with you. I enjoy you guys basically being fans of your respected clubs, and your insight is actually pretty interesting. A lot of you guys say a lot of shit things, and it's fun. It's nice to see Ethan being a fan of Arsenal and what he thinks of the club. Ethan transformed into the fan that thinks that because he watches Arsenal every Sunday or every Saturday. Now he thinks that he knows. Now he's a manager. He's a manager.
I don't think I'm a manager.
Ethan's complaining in front of the TV, throwing his Jordans at the TV. Why is Saka being subbed off?
I wake up in the morning, I have a coffee, and I watch. I watch the game now with more appreciation than I did before. Because
did you? And is that a thing? Did you guys before not?
I mean, I
Does
definitely
it
grew to
change that you're
appreciate it.
outside of the game and that
I think
now
you have
that you have
time
more
now.
time to, you have time to digest it? Before it was you're so deep in training and figuring out and working on what you're about to do at your next match, that kind of stuff, that your head's not there.
I think for me now, I just appreciate it way more. I appreciate, like, because I know it goes into every piece of it. Like, now that I've kind of removed it, I'm like not in it, head down, bogged in, like on my own thing, and like actually like analyzing games, and like now I can just watch it for like the experience of enjoying
The whole
match.
experience of actually knowing that you're gonna get the coffee, sit down, and watch the match, bro.
It's
There's
nice.
something about it from not being a player anymore that it's just a beautiful thing that you can actually pick and choose what you want to watch, and you actually might have some time to analyze and to be happy that the team won or to be upset. But at the end of the day, it's just a nice little balance to be a fan and not necessarily watching a game to scout the left midfielder or scout the left back or see the tendencies of this player. I just want to watch the game and support. And
because you're now disconnecting, you're able to look at it for the beauty of the game.
It's beautiful.
Versus you know, you get to enjoy the beauty of it. That's cool.
But analyzing it with like the knowledge of like what goes into being a player, what goes into being a manager, what it's like to be just a supporter now. Like being just a supporter now is good but like you said, being an educated supporter where like, okay, I'm not going to be pissed that he fucked that play up because I've been in that situation before. I'm not going to.
And you also know that he also made 10 plays before that were what you fuck up. It's okay. Just get back to what you do to fix that.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Exactly. I'm not screaming at somebody for missing a chance.
Chelsea City, I'm excited about. But you know what's funny? I'm actually looking forward to seeing the scoreline between Liverpool and Brentford because of what Brentford's doing right now. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it against Liverpool. And if that game, like, that's going to be a real litmus test, not for Liverpool. I mean, I'm sure Liverpool's got that one. But if Brentford can do it properly, either pull in a draw, even a win,
is it home or away? Is it Anfield or at Brentford?
I think it's at Liverpool.
Oh, then I think Brentford's probably going to get stomped, but it'll be a test.
I have to check. Either way, home or away, they're going to have to do it either or. Brentford, I think, is just, again, it's really they're doing some exciting stuff considering where they're at right now, and it's new in the season.
Right.
But man, Chelsea City, I can't wait for that game. I honestly can't wait. I'm going 2-1 on that. I'm calling it now. 2-1.
2-1 who?
Who's scoring?
Chelsea. Well, I don't know who scores. I don't give a fuck.
That's funny. We'll move on from that.
I'm going to give one to Lukaku because he didn't get one during the week.
Which is a player that you actually didn't like at one point of your fan career, right?
Lukaku.
Because you knew so much about the fucking game.
What are you talking about?
The phrase fan career is too funny.
And now he loves it. Lukaku's scoring next week.
I don't give a fuck. He's going to score. And you're going to get one from Rudiger. You're going to get one from totally left field. That's the guy I didn't like, Rudiger, and he's going to do it too. He's proven me wrong. I love him. No, he drove me nuts. And now he's the only guy that stands up for the entire team. I am absolutely in love with him. He's a pit bull. Every team needs a Rudiger. Every team needs a guy like, you touch my motherfucking player again, I'm going to rip your head off. That's the kind of guy I want on my team.
Hey, can we talk about Montreal, by the way, since we're here and you're the Montreal figure? What's going on with Montreal, bro?
What?
I just
ask the question. What do you mean?
No, I'm just asking in general. How is the club doing?
Impact. Oh yeah.
Club's doing great. Hopefully they'll make the playoff run.
Yeah.
Right? We're running to the end of the season. These young guys, man, the team's heart and the idea of this new coaching staff and everything that's happening over there.
The coaching changes has been huge. The mentality, it changed the whole mentality of the club.
Not only that, it came from within the system. It wasn't, hey, we're gonna call some big money guy, show up, pull out your fucking book of tricks. I don't give a fuck. What you've created is a familiar aspect. So that runs in the club, it runs in the hierarchy, it runs everywhere.
And the youth, it's the youth system. It's got to be the same format. If the first team is playing a certain way, then that has to trickle down to the way that the youth play as well, because those are the ones that are coming up. Especially nowadays, clubs are spending and investing on the younger players. So the youth coaches also have to be on point. They have to be the ones that understand.
Funny enough, and Rodney, funny enough about the youth coaching is that in Montreal, it's old school IMFC guys that are now in the CFM running the juniors. And I had a conversation this week with one of them, and I asked exactly that question: how is the communication between first team and you, and everything that's happening in the academies? And he says they've never seen anything like it. The communication is fantastic. They're talking all the time. They're, everything that happens on game day then trickles back to what they're doing. And it's a fine line, because I didn't think about this, again, as a fan. I didn't think about how important it is that the academies, when they're teaching their kids, that the line is you have to remain an open book, so that if you go to another club, if you move on to other things, that you are able to then learn into the new programmatic and get your mindset into that, while still being prepared to click and move into what the club needs first team. Dude, that is probably the hardest job, because it's different, right? You guys know what you have to try and achieve in first team. Like, what you have to achieve that week at game. These kids, they're trying to mold and educate at the same time in case it doesn't work out. To be able to, man, that is a tough job. I was like, when he explained it to me in that way, I thought it was just, hey, can you get them to learn what they need so they can slot in? It's not that at all. It's not that at all. And yeah, I know, but this was Rodney. What a great question! You should have seen my eyeballs blew up in my head. I was like, "Fuck, that's crazy impossible! What a job! What a hard job!"
You couldn't believe your eyeballs. I
couldn't believe my eyeballs blew right out of my head. What's up for the weekend, gentlemen? This is we're winding down. What do you guys got?
Can we? I want to talk about. Ethan. Can we talk about some jerseys and how important clubs think that these new third kits are, and in reality what these third kits actually mean, which a lot of the times is garbage, and it means nothing, because now it's becoming a trend, and these third kits are being used 3 times during the year. So what is the point to get it out in the media and showcase it 3 games? Yeah,
it's a money grab. Third kits used to mean something. It used to mean like celebration of a moment, or like a nod to the city, or like a nod to the heritage of the club. Now it's just a money grab. Now they're just.
You talking about an MLS, or are you talking about
in general? Brands are just putting out 4, 5, 6 kits per club, and it's like, when did Arsenal ever wear a camo kit? Not like art. I'm just saying, like, there's like, they're putting random shit together just to grab money and have these players wear it twice, and just another kit for the fans to buy, another kit for fans to buy. But there's no like actual string and like what it means to like a nod back to the 1970 Champions League run, because that was 40 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like that really happens that often anymore. So there's no like tie, there's no like real. So for me, those products aren't going to last. They're going to be one-time buys, move on next year, where the same person's going to buy the next one.
Because there's only so much they can do.
Exactly.
There's only so much they can do.
And I think they're having a hard time with that right now.
I think kits between brands and clubs, it's a funny space right now, because they're realizing that the game is so global and fans are so like ready and hungry to spend dollars that they'll just buy anything and hope in the hopes that something sticks, that they're just kind of putting shit out. They're not
turning it out.
Yeah, they're not really putting anything that's like really meaningful out. But in the end, those meaningful products, like we think about now, are going to float to the top, and they're going to be around.
So something that I saw, and great question about these third kits, is this week Spurs released their third kit in Carabao Cup. And what was interesting about that one is I did a little bit of a read on it. It's actually a fucking amazing story. So this is one positive, at least, is the entire kit's design is by the local kids. They had a whole intercollaboration with the designer, and the kids produced all the information that ended up blending into that kit. So that is literally a kit of Spurs fan kids that put it together, sort of thing, image-wise. I think that's fantastic.
See,
so things like that.
That's cool.
It's meaningful.
It's meaningful, and you're right. It's still disposable, but there's a whole story to it. And every kid that sees that little piece on that shoulder, that's part of the design I sent in, that changes everything. That's a total connect.
So in 10, 20 years, those kids have something to walk away with and be like, yeah, I designed that kit.
I was part of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Ethan,
so that's a different situation.
With all the shoots that you've done with different clubs, which one has been your favorite or your most impacted photo shoot
Me
with
personally,
with the club?
or
Yeah,
with the
in
club?
regards to the kit, in regards to the
No,
players that you've
I'm saying
shot.
in terms of it impacted me personally, or
No,
like
when yeah, what has impacted you personally, and what has stuck to you with all the shoots that you've done? Because I know you shot, you shot Roma, you shot, did you shoot, you shot City, right?
that Man City, yeah.
Yeah, you've done a lot of those. So what
This one
has
AC
been the
Milan.
one? Which one has been the one that has stuck to you the most?
Man City is probably the one that stuck to me the most because that was another that was quickly probably a year after retiring, and
Yeah.
it was yeah, actually it was a year after retiring, and it was the same week as after the Champions League final.
That's fire.
I flew directly from Madrid to Manchester to shoot their kit. They had just switched to Puma. And I walked in, and it was like Aguero, Sterling, like Foden, like all these guys, and they were just chopping it up. De Bruyne, and they were just. It was good to be back in that the locker room environment,
the vibe. Yeah, I remember we talked about that. I remember
to
you
be with those
about
guys. Those guys were fucking hilarious, joking around, making fun of each other. Like media day where you're like taking pictures, you're like nothing serious. It's after training, you're still talking shit about the 5v5 game you just had outside. Like that was dope, but also to like chop it up with them because they immediately sensed that I wasn't like the rest of the media people. They could
don't get it.
Yeah, they could immediately tell that the relationship between us and myself and them was we were vibing way different.
You could vibe to the tunes too. You know what I mean? Like you understood.
Exactly.
You might as well have put the music out for these players because you understand it. Yeah, I was happy for you, man, because that was one of the first ones that you did right after you were playing, and I was like, yeah, this is fucking fire, bro. To be able to shoot City.
And after playing for New York too, and then going to shoot it at City was fire.
Rod, what's the favorite jersey you've ever worn?
I mean, for me, it's got to be AC Milan. Just because
he said worn.
Worn.
Oh, I thought you meant okay.
No, worn.
Well, I'm a big fan of AC Milan, so I mean, shit, that was like the first jersey that I ever put on. The best jersey that I've ever worn had to be Portland Timbers. I believe it was their 1975 anniversary.
I was gonna say that shit was
and the long sleeve with the old school collar and the old school Alaska Airlines sign. Instead of it being modern, they made it into a retro type thing. I have that jersey hung up. It's beautiful, and the way that it looked once it started drizzling in that stadium, and then a good memory from that came from beating LA Galaxy at home, which was for us as a team it was really meaningful, and to be able to see the all white that we were wearing, can't beat it. It was.
I love the long sleeve too. There's nothing better than the long sleeve jersey.
They don't make that anymore.
I know, it's too bad they don't make that anymore. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, guys, we're coming to the end of the show. Just a reminder before we say goodbye, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Remember to subscribe to the podcast. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's going to drop this weekend, but normally comes out on Thursdays. You follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Proper Football, or you can find our own individual handles. And on TikTok, it's Football, FUTBOL. I look forward to next week, gentlemen. I hope the weekend treats you guys well, and see you guys next week.
All right.
Love
everybody.
Cheers.